Welcome to DFW Spotlight on Business. This is Heidi Hardy. Wonderful Wednesday. Just a fast and furious day. I have a fantastic guest in the studio.
What's up, guys?
This is Donnie Boivin.
Hi.
We're going to talk to Donnie today because Donnie's done some amazing things just in the past few months.
Yeah, real recent.
Yeah, and I love his story. I love his energy, and part of this show is about business owners and what motivates, what makes them tick, what makes them do things that a lot of people think about but they just don't do.
Right.
So before we get started, though, I want to make sure that introduce anyone who hasn't seen the show. I am Heidi Hardy. I am a business development professional. I've been doing that for about 18 years. And what that means is I've spent a career selling products and services. And I think the best part of that is getting to talk to and sit down with dozens and dozens of business owners, which puts me in a category of, I think I understand.
Right.
I understand some things that business owners are going through. So I've had the privilege of doing that. I also have had a show before. It was Real Life DFW, and enjoyed that show quite a bit. Was also Donnie was also on the show. Donnie also co-host with me on the show, and we met some really cool people.
We did. That was some good conversations.
It was. This show is sponsored by Real Life Media and the Ritchie Company. And the Ritchie Company is a promotions company that we have partnered with. Promotional items. I love promotional items, the mugs, the bags, the pins, everything. I love it.
The tchotchkes.
And people love that stuff.
They do.
And it really does help your business. So if you are in the market for a promotional product, give us a call or go to my email address. It's heidi.hardy@reallifemedia.com, and I'll connect you with the Ritchie Company. And they're a 30-year-old company, honest. Their focus is on customer service and customer care, and so give them a shot.
I want a mug with my picture on it. Can we do that?
Absolutely, and a T-shirt and a hat and everything. We can get you
Sexy
decked out. Absolutely. So DFW Spotlight on Business is about business. And, I was talking to Donnie earlier. We had a great conversation before the show, but I really wanted to whittle it down to not just about business, but business in DFW.
Right.
We had a really good meeting today. It was a beginning of a mastermind group, and we talked about the difference between Dallas and Fort Worth.
Huge.
Tell us, your opinion on that, because it came up.
Yeah, it always will. The most interesting thing between the Dallas and Fort Worth market is Fort Worth is kind of the Mayberry of big cities, right? So I mean, the whole 6 degrees of separation in Fort Worth, it's really 3 degrees of separation. But you're not going to do business in Fort Worth unless you're in Fort Worth. I mean, if your phone number's not Fort Worth, if your address is not Fort Worth, you're just not doing business there. Where Dallas, on the other hand, they'll do business with everybody, but they really think they're the big city, right? They really think they're New York or something. So it's a lot, a harder sell. It's a lot more greasy is the wrong word sometimes, but it's just a different vibe over there than it is in the Fort Worth marketplace. And it really, if you're looking at 360 is that dividing line where like Irving, Las Colinas, and Arlington are kind of like this neutral territory where everybody plays nice. But then once you get into your separate pools, man, it's just two completely different worlds. So right now that I'm in Dallas and I'm from Fort Worth, I kind of feel like I'm in Oklahoma at the moment.
You might as well be. It's not in Fort Worth. I grew up in Fort Worth, and I absolutely love my tribe in Fort Worth.
Right.
They're supportive. They're just my people.
Right.
But I have just as many wonderful relationships in Dallas, but there is a distinct difference in the personality.
Yeah.
It's that way across the country. I was a sales rep, a director of sales for a company, an IT company, and I would go to Alabama. and have to have a whole hour rapport session with the CEO that I was sitting down with, and then I would go to New York, and it would be, let's get down to, where's the contract, what is it going to cost? It's just a different vibe, and so I think that's kind of what we're talking about on a micro level between Fort Worth and Dallas.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they look at the DFW marketplace and they kind of lump it into one. It's one thing when really it is two completely separate cities, which is very cool, but it's also a little tough. I mean, if you've ever traveled abroad, people ask you, you're like, where are you from? Like Texas. They're like, oh, Dallas? No, Fort Worth. And they're like, where's that?
Just go west.
Right.
Yeah.
But the real business professionals out there learn how to actually hit both marketplaces, and not only from a sales role, just from a business role in general, is how do I not only market my stuff in the Fort Worth market, but how do I then take it to the Dallas market, or how do I market my stuff in the Dallas market and then take it to the Fort Worth market, and being able to scale between both of those is just a huge thing.
Well, we had a good story, and we won't stay on this topic too much longer, but we had a good story from a guy in our group, Kevin Wheeler, and he said that he had a card and it had a 214 prefix, and the guy in Fort Worth said, well, that's your problem.
Right.
So he immediately went out and got an 817 prefix, and
it was funny. He even talked about he bought a small office
in
just so
the
he'd have an
stockyards.
yeah. So he'd have an address there as well. And then the business started coming, right? Because people didn't want to do business with the Dallas side, which is a crazy thing. I don't understand it, but it is what it is.
It's a very tight knit community. So we love Fort Worth, we love you, Dallas, and we recognize that there's two different personalities there, like kids. You love your kids equally, but there's different personalities,
right?
So we talk about business here, and my goal though is to bring thought leaders like Donnie onto the program, who is going to share his experience. The conversation that we had earlier was, if you could have a conversation with a half dozen people, and they can share with you one nugget of information that stops you from making certain decisions or points you in a different direction, the value is so huge.
So what we were talking about is as I continue on my journey with what I'm doing right now, I keep finding people that are walking up to me and just give me just this insane advice off of their years of experience. And, it's the first time that's ever really happened to me in my life. Usually, I'm the bull in the china shop, being a sales guy, getting deals done and all that. But now people are coming to me and saying, the conversation's changing. They're giving me this just real world life. It's like advice. It's like they're throwing true love at me. It's the coolest thing. And the more that they continue to talk to me, it's changing how I'm running my business. And I think, Heidi, you said it earlier, is they're really trying to not insulate me, but help me not go through some of the crap they went through, which is great. I mean, everybody needs the right hooks to deal with the curveballs, so they know how to get past it. But I just love the genuine, real love that people are throwing out there, saying, hey, as you grow your business, you should look at these. This is going to happen. This is going to come up. You can be thinking in this direction. It's just freaking awesome at this point.
Well, I'm excited about your business, and we're going to talk a lot about that today, because it's a big change. To go from working for somebody else and then having your own business. Follow us on Facebook if you aren't already, because we are Facebook Live right now. Definitely you can follow us on DFW Spotlight on Business. Like us. That would be helpful. Or rate us on DFW Spotlight on Business, because that also helps. Twitter is Heidi_Hardy, and you can go to www.reallifemediallc.com and get more information about how you could start your own podcast, your own radio show like this.
Yeah, guys, this is fun. You should totally jump in.
It's a lot of fun. Yes, we have a blast. So the other part of this beginning of the show is a segment called DFW in the know, Spotlight on Business in the Know, and it's part of knowing what's going on in our community, in our business community, and having a conversation with my guests on what are your thoughts about the success of a small business owner. So I pulled up a website and an article here, and I'm looking for it while I'm looking for it. This is called how let me just go ahead, Donnie, talk and help me out here.
I'm going to bust out a rap if she doesn't watch out, right?
How to drive business success through personal branding.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, that's our topic for In the Know.
Okay.
So number one for them is define your brand. How did you define your brand?
It's funny for me is I think the marketplace defined my brand for me. Being a former Marine, anytime in front of a room, I always lead with that because profanity is going to come out of my mouth. My sister-in-law said it on one of my posts.
It's
She's
coming.
like, right, oh yeah, it's coming. My sister-in-law said it both is on one of my posts is somebody asked, why does he cuss so much? And she's like, look, you're just going to have to suck it up. He's just a Marine. That's just who he is. He's going to do it. But one of my groups that I'm a part of doing some networking with, they coined the phrase of jarhead gentle. And really, it's because my clients hire me out to really hit them between the eyes with a 2x4 and give them the direct, blunt talk. But I'm not an ass about it. Well, it's either an argument, right? And but it's that whole thought process, jarhead gentle. But I think also being that connector in the community, being able to put the right people together, and always thinking, how can I put people in touch with the people they want to go after? So. A buddy of mine, Chuck Beligny, coined this phrase that I steal from him all the time. But he says, marketing is what you say you do. Branding is what everybody else says you do, right? So if you think about your personal brand, what you tell everybody to do is kind of your marketing. But your personal brand is really how everybody else talks about you when you're not around. So I think about that quite often as, what is that image I leave out there? And I'm the kind of guy that really just doesn't give a shit what somebody thinks about me. So, when that's out there. So, but I also know that love it or hate it, there's that story being told when I'm not around. And is it always the right story I want to be told? I don't care, but I should to some regard, right?
Well, I think personal branding is a whole nother topic for a show because I love the topic. You hit on it that personal branding is how people look at you.
Right.
But you don't want them to define your brand.
No.
You want to define your
exactly.
brand. So if you're going to drive your business through your brand, personal branding is critical, but don't let it happen by accident.
Right. Absolutely. And people ask me all the time, what do I do? And I'm like, look, I just help badasses go kick more ass in life. And, I really just help people get out of their own damn way. And that's the persona I want out there. I want people thinking, dude, I know I should be doing more. I know I should be kicking a little bit more ass. I know I should just freaking be going for it, but I can't figure out how to make that next move. I can't figure out how to break through and go for it. That's why I want people to go, you need to talk to Donnie, right? He's your guy. He's going to be able to help you get past that barrier and run like hell with it.
Yeah. It's amazing. The motivation that people like Donnie can bring to business owners. And I think we talked about business owners in our group earlier, that business owners tend to get stuck in the business. They're in the weeds.
Right.
They're doing, they're writing the paychecks. They're, paying the taxes. They're doing the things that they have to do. And sometimes it takes away from their ability to get out of their own way.
Right. It takes away from their passion too, right?
Right.
Is they're so working in the business that they're doing all the crap that they don't want to be doing because maybe they haven't learned to delegate it out. Or, most people, when they started a company, very few people just fall into a business, right? They started it out because they had some passion or something they were going after, and somewhere along the way, they just lose that. I was talking to a guy named Tom O'Donnell the other day, and he said the greatest thing he ever figured out how to do was how to work himself out of his company.
Yeah.
And he's still the CEO of the company.
I think that's brilliant.
Right?
Absolutely.
But because of health reasons and everything else, he was physically getting sick because of all the time he was putting into his company. And once he figured out there was a way to, work himself out, he's healthy. He's now doing several other businesses as well and growing. And he's just a good dude to be around. And you sit, one of those guys you sit across from, you don't realize how successful this guy really is in life because he's humble as all get out. But that's the thing is those are great spots for people to come to me going, dude, this is where I'm at. I know there's more to life. I just don't know how to go after it.
Right. And we're going to jump into that. The article talks about one more thing that I want your professional opinion on, because you're good at this. You're great at this. So right now we're talking about, you're listening to DFW Spotlight on Business with Heidi. That's me. And we're talking about how to drive business success through personal branding. I think personal branding is very important, but the second tip here is choose the right vehicle. And they're talking about social media.
Right.
Donnie is everywhere. I don't think a day goes by that I don't get because I subscribe to you on YouTube and I follow Donnie. So I get a notification that he's got a new video out or he's got a new blog out, and I love that because if I can catch it, I will.
Right.
Or it's in there. So, what vehicle is that important when you're personal branding?
So I did a lot of research as I launched my company on, how do I get my message out there? And so I've been doing a lot of studying and everything else. And one of the things that I learned from it all was you really have to pick a particular vehicle. A lot of people try and tackle everything.
Yeah.
So me, I said LinkedIn's not going to be my game. Right. Because LinkedIn is kind of stoic in business nature, and I'm not a stoic in business nature guy. So I do post out there, but it's kind of just random thrown out there. But for me, Instagram, Facebook, I'm starting to dabble a little bit in Snapchat and definitely YouTube. Those became my vehicles because they allow me to be real voice. And what I mean by that is, dude, when you go live on Facebook, I mean, it's in. Right. There's no delete button. You're just going, and whatever comes out is that raw, genuine self. Mm-hmm. Right. So, and I think people are nowadays craving that authentic voice. They're craving the real stuff, the real stories, and Instagram, Facebook, definitely YouTube in there. Those all allow you to just speak what's from the heart or speak what's from the mind, and the unfiltered stuff is where the real gems come from.
I agree. I think when you're personal branding, you really have to find maybe the top 3 that you're going to use. The ones that are most familiar for you is important, but also who's your target audience? Twitter's male dominated,
right.
Highly male.
But I think Twitter's also going through a little bit of a funk right now.
Yeah,
I think they're in this kind of an identity crisis or something.
Right.
Same thing with LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's trying to figure itself out. I mean, there's some people making some big pushes in it right now, but I think it's going through this transitional phase as well as they're trying to figure it out.
I agree. I would say that do a little research. Personal branding is incredibly important. Thank you for your input on this topic, how to drive business success through personal branding. This came from www.score.org. If you want more information,
Great organization.
I'll put it on my Facebook once we're done here. We're going to take our first break. When we get back, we're going to learn more about Donnie. We're going to find out what he did that is amazing. It's good. It's all good. I'm just going to put it that way. This is Heidi Hardy. You're listening to DFW Spotlight on Business, and we'll be right back.
Hi, welcome to today's Biz Moment, brought to you by Insperity, inspiring business performance. Today's topic, employee development plans. The key to success from a manager's point of view is proper planning, clear direction, and the end result is a win-win. Yay! Who doesn't like it when everyone wins? Here are some questions to ask before you get started. And the first is, what are your business goals? Think about both long and short-term objectives. Write them down, even if you need a pen and paper. Sometimes that's the best way to do it. And then figure out what skills or knowledge your employees would need to meet those goals. Number 2, what are your employees' goals? That's kind of important to know, right? Meet with each team member face-to-face. There's nothing like old-fashioned communication. Ask them about the career goals. Would they even be open to learning new skills? Number 3, how do you determine which skills your employees need help learning? By making sure they're SMART. And SMART is in all capital letters because S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A, attainable, R, relevant, T, timely. Don't you just love a good acronym? Number 4, how do you put this into action? Consider all the possibilities for helping your employees acquire these new skills. Will that be in the form of formal training? Will it be reading, working with experts, one-on-one coaching and mentoring? Once you've figured out the learning channels, finalize a plan with a schedule or timeline. You don't want this to go on forever, right? Number 5, how will you apply these new skills in the actual workplace? Well, I'll tell you. Set up as many opportunities as possible for employees to apply the new skills to their job. There's no time like the present, especially when that knowledge is nice and fresh. Stay tuned for more Insperity Biz Moments, business tips for savvy leaders.
And welcome back. This is Heidi Hardy. You're watching DFW Spotlight on Business, and we're also live on Facebook.
I know, that's awesome.
I know. All our friends.
I keep looking over here at your screen, going, "Hey, that's me."
I know. It's hard not to. It's hard not to. We have a fabulous studio
This
here,
place
by the way.
is awesome.
On Air Media here in Dallas is our studio, and there's a lot of good stuff happening here. I just wanted to make sure that anybody that might be checking in with us now, we did have I thought, a pretty good conversation at the beginning of the show. And there was an article there that talked about personal branding and how to brand yourself. If you go to www.score.org and in the search put personal branding, that article will pop up. We know that it's important. It's something I work on every day. You do. That's what this show's about, is branding.
Right. I mean, if you're not working on your personal brand, somebody else is.
I know.
Right?
I know.
You know, it's one of those things that I love telling people, that you're either working your plan or you're somebody else's. And and as we jump into my journey here in a second, is that was one of the realizations I realized I had to jump. Was I just got tired of making everybody else wealthy.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's my turn, damn it.
It is your turn, and it's coming. Okay, so Donnie Boivin is my guest today. He's got an exciting future ahead of him, and a really cool story. This is, for me, he's a new business owner, and fresh. I'm talking fresh out the gate.
Right.
2 months maybe. And when he announced his jump into business ownership, I couldn't have been more happy for him. I am a cheerleader. I am so excited for Donnie and this journey that he's taking. So I invited him to come on and just talk about how what was that transition? Because I have tons of questions. When did you do it? How did you do it? So we're going to get there, but I'm going to read a little bit about Donnie here, and because it's great, and then Donnie's going to take on.
Okay, I can do that.
I'm going to let you take it. Okay, Donnie Boivin is a first-generation entrepreneur, success coach, and keynote speaker with over 18 years' experience motivating and inspiring thousands of people to get out of their own way and succeed in life and business. He's known as the go-to coach for helping people achieve higher levels of success by discovering their passions and then teaching them how to go for it. The second part to this, Donnie is a well-known speaker, success coach, and a self-proclaimed jackass.
I am.
He has spent his career helping to break down barriers to success that people find in business. Donnie wants to coach people to kick ass in life so they can inspire the world. I love that.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Okay, you can find more information about Donnie Boivin on www.donnieboivin.com, but why do that when you can hear it straight from Donnie right now? So tell us about you.
Oh, what do you want to know? I mean, in particular, how far back you want me to go?
Well, let me do this. I'm going to plug. Donnie is creating a 3-series podcast. We're going to go for 6 series, and his story's on the first podcast. I love it. It's a great story. I want to start probably to the point where you went into sales.
Okay.
Because I think that's a natural transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I've been in sales of some form of fashion for the last 18 years, and always found myself on stages from different times. I've got some cool stories there. But my last real big sales job came when I jumped into commercial printing, and this awesome gal that I love to death named Jane gave me my first go. She hired me out from behind the bar because I was always that guy that kept my resume underneath the bar top. And she brought me in and gave me my real first big go into the sales world. And dude, when I first got into sales like that, the big game, selling commercial printing and that kind of stuff, dude, I sucked. It was bad. And I know my mom's listening to this right now, but mom was my first sale that I ever did, and I bought business cards off her and these little forms. She worked in the doctor's office, and she beat me up on price.
Good for you, Mom.
But that was really my first sale. But it was during those times that I went and grabbed a book that my dad gave me, and Dad loves that I tell this story all the time. But Dad gave me the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and he also gave me the book Success Through Positive Mental Attitude. And that book, really changed our family dynamics in our world. But that book didn't open me up, and it's a great read. Right? I don't want to take anything away from that book, but it didn't inspire me like it inspired so many other people. What it did is open me up to the world, to self-help and leadership, and there's coaching, and there's already people that have carved the path and will teach you how to be a badass in your life. Well, I was sucking at sales, man. So I started looking for anything on sales, because literally, Jane, God love her, gave me a desk and a computer and said, "If you need anything, let me know." Right, and then
You
go
were on your own.
right. So I had to go learn it. I mean, I had to go figure out everything of how to be a sales guy.
Right.
And God love my middle brother, who's a sales guy. He's a badass sales guy in the pharmaceutical world. I called him up, and he's like, "Dude, you're gonna have to go cold call." And I'm like, "What's a cold call?"
Yep.
Right. And, he's like, "You're going to have to go network." I'm like, "What's networking?" I just didn't understand it all. And so God love me, he wasn't a lot of help because he didn't teach me how to cold call. He didn't teach me how to network, right? But, through books, back then YouTube wasn't really a thing, so you couldn't just jump online and watch a whole lot of videos and everything. So it was a lot of books. It was a lot of going to conferences, a lot of meeting people. I'm working on a networking book right now, so I can talk about how bad I was at networking out the gate and some of the stupid things I did early on in my career. But it was all a learning experience all the way up. And, I remember thinking, back when I really was getting into that career, thinking, for some reason, I like being on stage. I like being in front of people. I love talking to people on a regular basis. And back then, I had that thought process, well, maybe that's what I should do with my career. Flash forward to several years later till I turned 40 years old. I finally pulled the damn trigger.
You're 40?
I'm 40.
Oh my gosh.
Don't I look good
You're
for
a baby,
40?
yes.
Right? Look
yes.
at this. And it's not gray, guys. It's chrome, okay? See, guys, we get older. We just get distinguished. We don't look old. We get distinguished, right?
I know.
Thanks,
Tell me
honey.
about it.
Right. My wife tells me I'm good looking, so I gotta be.
Okay.
So, it was one of those things that I just knew that I needed to be in front of rooms. I'm very raw and blunt, especially when I coach somebody, because people don't hire me to sugarcoat it. But that comes from years of getting my teeth kicked in as a straight commission sales guy.
Yeah.
When you got to eat what you kill, you learn to get after it a little bit. But my early sales years, I was a little rough around the edges. Once I realized that it was all about getting, the paycheck, then you just sold it. You didn't worry about how you got it done. And it took a lot of years and a lot of seasoning to figure out that, hey, you can't be a jackass like that and still be a good sales guy. So
that's true, and you landed for the past 6 years
Yep.
in sales,
Yep.
teaching sales.
Right. So I had a great opportunity. I jumped on with a great guy, Scott Sherwin, over at Sandler Training.
He was a guest on our show.
Yeah, I mean, dude's a badass. I mean, one of the best trainers in the country, hands down when it comes to sales or sales training. I love the dude to death. And he gave me a shot to come on board. And I remember starting out with him. I'm like, dude, I don't want to be a sales trainer. Right. I just want to be a sales guy. He goes, good, because I don't need a sales trainer. I need a sales guy. So
Yeah.
we did that. We had some great successes along the way. Ultimately became a sales trainer with them. And that's really where I cut my teeth of how to teach people from being in front of the stage about how to really go for it. Dude, sales is a tough profession. And, some people really need a champion behind them to help them push along the way. But that was kind of that next tier boost that I needed to learn that people can actually make a living from being in front of the room. People can make a living coaching people. And, all along, I think I was building myself up to go this direction. But now here I am, and we're running like hell and having fun with it.
Oh my gosh, you are running like hell. So just so that it's clear, Donnie had a position with in corporate America, I guess. Yep. Is what it is. And he made a decision to go into business for himself. He now owns Success Champion.
Correct.
And has set himself up with clients. And
Yep.
I mean, he's a legitimate business. So what was that like? What was that feeling of, you know what, I'm ready? Did you have to pump yourself up to do it?
Well, here's the truth. I was at an event, and a gentleman came out, and he asked a question. When he asked the question, this light bulb went off in my head. And when that happened, I remember on the drive home going, holy shit, what am I doing? I've spent my entire life making other people wealthy, right? I've spent my entire life growing other people's businesses. No more. It's my turn. Now, that was one thought process. The other thought process is, are you flipping crazy?
Yes, that
Right?
one comes next. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? And I remember going home, and I wasn't scared to tell Elizabeth, but I was sure nervous as hell, right? I think she kind of had that vibe that this was fixing to happen. But I didn't have any real forethought up to that point that I was going to go out on my own. I really didn't have any game plan that, really honestly, I didn't have the courage to pull the trigger and go do my own thing. It just never crossed my mind. But when that moment, when the guy hit me in the middle of the room, I went, holy crap, it's time.
Yeah.
And I remember going home, telling Elizabeth, well, back up one step, and that drive home, I had a complete meltdown, complete
Oh, wow.
freak out session,
Really?
right?
With yourself?
Yeah, totally.
I
I'm
do
like,
that all the time.
it was really like, are you really going to do this? And it was a minute. It was that moment of pure bliss and joy to that moment of holy crap. How are you going to pay for it? I mean, where are you going to get clients? I mean, it was how do you run a business? How do you get an LLC? I mean, all those things were popping in my head, and I'm thinking, dude, you've been in tough spots before. This is just another one of those. Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. And it's been explosively amazing out the gate. The organic growth that happened so rapidly with my clients was just, I mean, awesome. I think some people were waiting for me to pull the trigger. I think some people really kind of just saw that this was the direction I was going for quite a while. And I think when I made a leap, they finally went, finally.
Yeah.
Here we go. And then they jumped immediately on board with me, which was just awesome. So now it's wrapping my head around being a business owner, which has been fun because the dynamics of the conversations and things I get into now are just completely different. People that I talked to when I was just a sales guy, and I hate saying that, just a sales guy, because sales guys are badasses, but the going from a sales guy to a business owner, or from a sales guy to an entrepreneur, and I don't believe I'm a full-on entrepreneur because I think real entrepreneurs are just crazy as shit, and I love them because they're always the
Many
guys
of
that
them
are
are.
innovating, they're
Yeah.
always challenging, they're always doing something new, and where I think this is my shtick. This is the thing I'm building. I'm going to run with. I think most of your real entrepreneurs are like, well, this is the thing I'm running with for now. Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they're going to build on to their next thing. So, but this is thing. This is my baby, and I'm looking forward to continuing to run with it. But now it's that whole process of figuring out the marketing angle, figuring out the sales angle, because this is a completely different sale. I told everybody sales training was the toughest sale I was ever in my entire career, because you had to sit across from a CEO and convince them that you were the badass to teach their badasses, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now the sale is, you've got to buy me, right? You've got to believe that I'm the guy that's going to take you to the freaking promised land. And I am, and I truly believe that I am, but you've got to see that all through the process. So that's why I always give the first session away for free, because now it's the testing ground. Let's see if you can work with me, if I can work with you, and we figure it out.
So if somebody went to your website and they needed a coach, it's DonnieBoivin.com. You would set up a consultation.
Yeah, there's a button on the screen that they can actually request a free 30-minute
there
phone
is.
calls, right? So you can go on there. The email goes directly to me, and which I check all my emails. And that's a fun thing, is like all the Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, YouTube, dude, that's all me. I don't have somebody marketing
No.
behind me, right? So
There's no wizard behind the
Right,
wall. It's
right.
all you. Yeah.
Oh, and one platform that we didn't talk about that I'm doing a lot on is Medium as well. So Medium is like a blog platform, and it's taking over the blogging world. There's some phenomenal articles on there. So every day I'm putting out an article on there, and then I'm actually going back and reading the article and putting an audio version with the article. So not only can you read the article, you can listen to my lovely, awesome, sweet, sexy voice read the article out, right? And get that content as well. But that is all 100% me doing all the work and responding to comments and everything else as we continue to make it go.
Well, we're going to go to a break in a minute, and one of the things that I want to, when we come back from the break, which this hour goes by very fast, but is you said it yourself. You're doing it all yourself,
Right.
Just help us as potential. What I hope with this show is that we're talking to business owners,
Right.
but we're also talking to people that could be business owners and they haven't done it yet.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so one of the things that I know sticks in somebody's mind, I would love to have a dog wash
Right.
company, right? And but yeah, I'm not sure. I want them to watch this show, see that Donnie Boivin did it, see that they can get coaching
Right.
to do that, and make that move because they believe it and they know it's real. So when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about the reality of what you do every single day. What does a day in the life of Donnie Boivin look like? So this is Heidi Hardy. You're watching DFW Spotlight on Business, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to today's Biz Moment, brought to you by Insperity, inspiring business performance. Today's topic, employee turnover. Specifically, why employees leave. If you know the causes, it's much easier to prevent the problem. Which brings us to number 1. They're motivated by higher pay. No matter how much someone loves working for you, if presented with a better monetary offer, they're probably going to go for it. And honestly, can you blame them? Help counter this by keeping tabs on compensation offered by competitors and or conducting an annual salary survey to see how employees view their salaries and benefits. Number 2, they're not engaged. Employee engagement may sound like another corporate buzzword, but we're here to tell you that engaged employees are known to seek out challenging work, resolve and find solutions to problems, share ideas proactively, provide support to colleagues, and go after training and development opportunities. Sound like good traits? Of course they do. If you want to know more about keeping those employees more engaged, check out our Biz Moments episode dedicated to, you guessed it, employee engagement. And thus begins our segue to number 3. They're bored. High-performing workers need a challenge and a feeling of forward momentum in terms of professional growth and development. Take the time to meet with your employees and be proactive in discussing career and succession plans with them. You won't be sorry. Number 4, they're poorly managed. We all know a bad boss, hello, Michael Scott from The Office, can make any employee miserable. And if your employees are miserable, they're not going to stick around. And you know this already. Humans crave routine, structure, and consistency, which are all things created and managed by a good boss. To help managers be the best they can be, make sure they have the tools and the training. Don't intentionally or unintentionally protect bad managers and submit managers to the same performance evaluation process as everyone else. It just makes it fair. Stay tuned for more Insperity Biz Moments business tips for savvy leaders. For more like these, visit the Insperity blog at insperity.com and hold on to those employees, okay?
And we're back. This is DFW Spotlight on Business. I'm Heidi Hardy. I love those videos. We were just talking about that off during the break, and I think it's because
we get to watch that same commercial you guys do. So.
Yeah. While you're watching it. So Insperity is the company that I represent and work for today, and they are an HR outsourcing solution for small to medium-sized businesses. They're an amazing company, and they are helping thousands and thousands of business owners like you who went from I'm doing it all myself to I'm going to hire a staff.
Right.
And so there are different steps in business ownership where you let go of some of those things, and you're able to hire a company like Insperity. So if you own a business and you want to talk about how to get that HR solution into your business, don't hesitate to give me a call, jump on IM, or reach out to me at heidi.hardy@insperity.com.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about you again, since you're my guest.
Right. No, we can talk about me.
I know,
I'm
it's your
in.
favorite subject. It's my favorite subject today.
Today?
Yeah.
Well, it should be like every day.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I don't think Michael would like that.
Right.
So we talked about this before the break. What does a day in the life of Donnie Boivin look like now that you're not tied to another entity?
Well, the biggest surprise for me for doing this on my own was, what do I do with my time? As a sales guy, you kind of always have a schedule. You always need to be out networking, you need to be cold calling, you need to be knocking on doors, and there's always something to do. So you never really had downtime, if you will. Well, there's been a couple times since I started doing this where I had downtime. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now? And so it took me to start figuring out that I really got to get regimented. And And that's what has kept me, I think, sane, is figuring out that regiment. So my morning starts at 5 o'clock every morning. It's the time Elizabeth and I get out of bed. And it goes very routine. So those who know me know I have a farm out in Azle. So not only am I running my own company, I'm also managing our personal hobby farm. And yes, we've got 3 goats, 13 chickens, 4 ducks.
When he says
4
farm,
dogs,
he means farm.
right? And, so that's a full job in itself. So I get up in the morning, I go take care of all the animals, get coffee started. Well, now, because I'm running a business, I'm like, okay, this is prime time where I can get content out. So I'm up immediately writing an article. I then do an audio version of the article, put that on a Medium, put that on my blog post on my website. I then do an Instagram post, which is usually the same image I use from the article, turn that into a meme with some sort of phrase in it. That goes on Instagram and Facebook. Right. And then I record my first video today to try and do my vlog, which is going to go out and be posted up at the end of the day. And from there, I'm hitting my first client usually by 7:30, 8 o'clock is when I have my first, like this morning, my first client started. My coaching client started at 7:45, and we met at a coffee shop and we started going. From there, I was immediately in a networking event called 1 Million Cups. They have it in both Fort Worth and Dallas. Dude, if you're an entrepreneur and you're not doing 1 Million Cups, you're just doing it wrong. So from there, drove out to another mastermind networking group that we were at today. From there, you and I came out here. We did a little catch up. We did a podcast. But usually it's meeting after meeting after meeting. But it's not business. Let's talk about freaking finances, accounting, marketing. It's meeting with prospects, meeting with clients, meeting with people trying to figure out synergies. And that runs me all the way up to usually 5 or 6 o'clock. And then it's deciding, do I go to a happy hour to mix and mingle and find myself in the right rooms? Or do I record a video for the drive home, kind of wrapping up the day? And, that usually puts me home between 7 and 8 o'clock at night, where I come home, cook dinner for Elizabeth and I, and usually right around 8:30, we're finally able to sit down and go, And then I love the night she takes a bath, because then I go back to work.
Yep, exactly.
And then I'm working on, content, trying to put as much content out there as possible, because that's the name of the game nowadays. Following up on emails or responding to comments and stuff on social media and everything else puts us in bed about 10 o'clock, and then it's rinse, wash, repeat. The other big change is, as a sales guy, I really kind of just did Monday through Friday. Right. And that was it. Friday hit, and dude, it was happy hour Friday afternoon. Yep. Right. Yet now there's no off.
No. It's not.
So, for Saturday morning, it's the rule in the house is I'm allowed to work as long as she's not awake. So I may sometimes get up really, really freaking early so I can get some things going and done. And in the midst of all this, I'm still trying to figure out QuickBooks, and I'm still trying to figure out, some other programs and things that I'm working with. And I still don't understand all the inner workings of Facebook, Instagram, and also I'm learning all that in the same process. Plus, I'm also trying to read books and stay up to date so I can give relevant, real content of anything coming up. So it's just 100 miles an hour nonstop. Yeah. But here's my biggest surprise is I always heard people say, you do what you love, and you don't really feel like you're working. And that's kind of the stage I'm in, is I'm putting in just a shit ton of hours, but it's not beating me up. I mean, I'm not just drained, exhausted. Now I do get some mentally exhausted when I do a lot of podcasts, or I do a lot of editing and things, but really it's just a different type of drive. This is it for me. I mean, this is my game. This is my run. This is what I'm going to do. And I've got no backup plan.
Well, so when you said jump, I mean, there was no ladder behind you.
No.
You burnt that bridge, and
right.
and he was going. And so what I love about your story, Donnie, and again, if we can touch even one person today and motivate them to move on their dreams, move on their goals, see themselves in a business, or if they're owning a business and they're a little burnt out,
yeah, catch
on some of your passion and enthusiasm, because I'm sure they're looking at you and saying, I remember when I felt like that. I remember when it was that awesome. And because, you emit this aura of excitement.
Oh,
You're
awesome.
so excited.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
About what you're about to do.
Well, I'll tell you guys, if you're at that space where you're like, dude, I know I'm so meant for so much more. I know I should be doing so much more. If whatever you're thinking about doing scares the pure living shit out of you, that's when you know that's exactly what you need to be freaking doing, right? I'm telling you, it's the times when we're like, dude, I just know I should be doing X, but man, can I make any money at it? Or can I do this? And you start questioning and you start, screw all that, flipping, just go and run. And that's why I'm so excited about doing what I'm doing is I really want to teach everybody to do what I just did, which is, go from 40 years of creating other people's world and living other people's dreams to doing my own. And I get made fun of for this phrase all the time, but it's really like I've looked at the world and said, "Hold my beer and watch this shit," right?
Yeah.
Because that's it. But that's the truth. Is every time you go for it and you get that fear, that's the universe saying, "You got this." That's the exact thing you should be doing at this moment. That's how I live my sales careers. Every time something would pop up where I should go across the room and meet that person, or I should make a cold call. Every time I push past that fear, my career exploded. And so that's exactly what I'm doing now. So guys, if you're at that cusp of, can I do this? Should I do this? The answer is yes. Just go.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Well, and so I will say that I'm on my own journey, as you know, and Donnie gives me some coaching. It's not as romantic as it sounds.
No.
And that's why it was good to hear your day by day, blow by blow, because
it's a grind.
Nothing goes away.
Right.
Now I'll tell you, I spent last year working on my own business, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I don't know that I slowed down.
Yeah.
There's no vacation. Nobody's
Right.
paying you to take a day off. If you take a day off, you feel guilty.
Absolutely.
So be prepared for the non-sexy version
Yeah,
of
because
owning
you
a
take
business.
a day off, it's like you just lost a day.
Right.
Right.
Now you're going to have to work twice as hard the next day.
Right.
You need 48 hours in the next 24 hours just to catch up.
It's for me. It's like I'm pushing a locomotive.
Yeah,
Right now,
absolutely.
it's still that slow churn to get it going. But I feel and Dad, you're welcome. I use a train reference. My dad is a train nut. Right.
Awesome.
But that's it. It's I'm pushing up. The steam's building up, and eventually it's going to really keep rolling. But I'm at that stage of now it's just put your head down and grind
and make it happen. So
Right.
I do admire what you're doing. Business owners, they do it all different ways. And there's
Absolutely.
definitely, there are business owners who find out that they have a love for comic books, and they cultivate and nurture that, and then turn that into a business when they retire, or they find their niche,
Right.
and then they turn around and do it. So there's no right or wrong way. I think what I get from being around Donnie and learning from Donnie is that when there's something tugging at you on a constant basis in the business world, there's a reason why that's happening. And I liked your analogy when you said, I listened to my gut. When you were in sales,
Yeah.
you were like, I need to talk to that person, and if I do that, then there's going to be a connection there. It's listening to your gut and then following that. And so, what kind of advice would you give somebody who's right there, right there?
Jump.
Yeah.
Right. I use my podcast is called Run Like Hell Podcast.
Yes.
And I did that because if you just go and run like hell, everything else will show up. It's amazing how many things the universe keeps putting in my path to allow me just to keep going for it. And it's been a lot of fun. But, dude, jump in. The water's fun. It's going to scare the hell out of you, period. But just go. Just go.
So what's the
Excuse me.
no, that's okay. Do you need a break?
No.
Okay. What's the future of success champion Donnie Boivin? What's the future look like?
To own the world.
Take over the
world.
world.
Thank you.
That's what we're gonna do tonight.
Right. No, for me, it's getting on a lot more stages. I really have the goal. My biggest milestone is to touch 1 million lives, and really, I know my style of coaching and training is not for everything. And I love telling people that, when I tell people I coach, badasses that kick more ass in life, they very much self-qualify. And the badasses get it, right? And they step up and they're like, hell yeah, let's go. And the people that are not ready to do that journey with me, they're like, well, maybe it's not now. I'll see you in 5 years or whatever else. And either way, I'm cool with, right? So for me is that next big leap is finding myself on more stages, more speaking opportunities. I had the pleasure of having a young man at my house the other day help me hang Christmas lights in my house, 22 years old. And once he found out what I did, he started asking all the big fun questions, what do you want to be when you grow up and all those kind of stuff. And, I gave him some advice, and he was so excited that he called me today and said, dude, I did everything you told me to do, and da-da-da-da, this happened. He goes, I think you really changed my life. And however you look at it from a coaching standpoint, that's why we all do this.
Yeah.
Right? Is to inspire others to go find their inner badass and just go for it.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, I completely agree. And I definitely think that there's all these different stages in business ownership. And if we can keep our head down and focus, business ownership can be very rewarding. I will say there is no break. But if you're doing what you love, then you're not working.
Absolutely.
And when success, finally that locomotive's going on its own, the reward is so amazing. I've had the distinct pleasure and honor to know people who have come to me. We've had coffee at Starbucks, and they said, I'm starting from scratch. I don't know what I'm doing. And, I'm scared. I'm scared to death, but I'm going to do this. And then, check 3 years later, 5 years later, they have an amazingly profitable business. They're doing very well. They're hiring people. They're contributing to the community, so the community is prospering. And that's what this is about. That's what this show is about. That's what this conversation with Donnie and I is about, is if businesses can succeed, the community prospers.
Absolutely.
And as we work towards that goal, we are we're the evangelists to make that happen.
Well, and I think right now we're in a really cool time because, what you're starting to see is the disruption of big corporate America. I mean, a lot of things are moving to small business. And all of these, the entrepreneur world is exploding right now because people, are not wanting to work for a company for the 20, 30 years. I mean, the average lifespan, I think, of an employee right now is like 2 to 3 years. And they're getting a lot of experiences in this, that, and the other. Well, the same things happen with entrepreneurs. A lot of people are diving into the marketplace. And they're changing the way we purchase, we buy. I love telling people,
Absolutely.
Even sales is evolving. It's going away as your hardcore closers, because people don't want to deal with salespeople. So by the time they're ready to buy your product or service, they've already researched you. They've jumped online and they know everything about you already. They just need you to show them where to sign. So everything's evolving right now, and it's a very, very exciting time for business. But I'll also tell you, with this evolution, it's fixing to come the next pop. Right. And we're all fixing to get one hell of a right hook right now because life is too good at the moment. Right. Something's going to explode, and we'll see what all happens when the dust settles, with all of this, because it's going to be the true test to business owners is how badass can you really be, is can you put your money where your mouth is and survive when shit does go south. So absolutely.
And I don't. The audience has heard me say I don't like the F word, the fail.
That F word. Hey, I don't think I've dropped it yet, so we're good.
Donnie looked at me very interesting. What?
I'm like, she said the F word.
Fail. I don't like that word because I honestly think that there are and there are umpteen examples of successful people that have said they had several businesses before the business that they're known for, and everything is an experience. So we just need to look at it that way and move on and move forward.
Well, and I love the thought process. A lot of people will always teach you got to fail to figure it out. And I don't know which book it is, but somebody told me, I wish I could remember so I could go read it, but they keep talking about the philosophy from there is, why worry about failing? Why aim to fail? Why don't you worry how to figure out how to do it right the first freaking time?
Yeah.
You know, right? Put your all in and just see what happens. You may have some screw ups along the way, but it's only a failure if you actually give up.
Yeah. Well,
right?
I agree. I think there's a lot of people out there that can hear this message, need to hear this message, and are excited for you as well. You have a wonderful fan base
Thanks, guys.
is cheering. Yeah, absolutely. They're cheering you along. And we talked about this a little bit before as we close the show. There's a collective consciousness out there that if you can send and provide encouragement to others, then that helps those people sort of move on to the next phase in their lives. And you just never know when your example, Donnie, is going to move somebody to the next phase.
Yeah, throughout my career, I always kind of looked at it as, you always got to kind of find your horse to chase, right? That was always my thing is if somebody's already cut the path, and I'm like, oh, I'm catching that guy, right? That's the person I'm chasing after. But, some people, they can't find their horse. Well, I'm telling everybody right now, dude, just let me be your horse. I'll carve the damn path. You just catch on, jump on the wake, and let's run like hell. And we'll go big. Just stay up with me, right?
Yeah.
And, work as hard as I do, get after it as hard as I do, and, show up. Half the battle in life and business and everything else is just showing up. One of the greatest sales lessons I ever learned from was a guy named Lee, and he taught me the thought process is it's always time for one more. And that philosophy has always been a game changer for me is you can't go home yet because there's time for one more call. Right? There's time for one more email. There's time for one more
networking
post,
event.
Right? There's always time for one more. And that's this game we're in right now is I'll carve the path. Just remember there's always time for one more and let's get after it.
Well, Donnie, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. We appreciate, and hopefully we're helping you get to that million people's lives.
Right.
I know you've done quite a few podcasts and shows lately, and good job with that,
Thank you.
by the way.
Thank you. And if anybody else wants a guest, call me up. I'm ready to come on.
Absolutely. Donnie's a fabulous guest. So you're watching DFW Spotlight on Business, and today we have been talking to a brand new business owner, Donnie Boivin, and he's the owner of Success Champion. You can catch Donnie at his website, at DonnieBoivin.com, and just click on that website. You can see where it says schedule your call. Do it. It's free. The consultation is free. Get some information from Donnie. It may not be your time, but it's a great conversation to have.
Oh, and one more quick thing he's got on the screen right now is to the right there. That's not how you journal, jackass. My ebook is out.
Oh my gosh.
So
grab his ebook.
Yeah, it's free, guys. It'll talk about how journaling changed my life and a thing it did for it. So that's free. Go get that. Just log in and give me your email and it'll send it to you automatically.
And I'll tell you, that's a great story. It's going to be on his podcast. He's going to have a 3-podcast series going to be released here. It's called the Run Like Hell podcast.
Right.
It sounds great. I'm excited to partner with you on that. And, DFW Spotlight on Business, we're here to talk to and be a part of this community and the business community in DFW. So, Donnie, thank you so much for being here. The thought for the week is the biggest risk is not taking any risk in a world that's changing really quickly. The only strategy that is guaranteed to fail is not taking risk, and that's Mark Zuckerberg.
Yep. Zuck.
So this has been Heidi Hardy. Don't forget to live your real life passionately. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, guys.